On today's episode, I interview Stephen Pope, my Amazon guy. He has an agency where he looks after 150 clients across the globe for running their Amazon businesses, from catalog management to SEO to everything in between. Super impressive guy, has an incredible podcast, which I've featured on, and cannot stress enough the valuable insights that I've garnered just from listening in. Like I said, super interesting guy. We'll talk about a lot of different topics, and we sort of go all over the place, which is the nature of our relationship, from how to grow your business to elements and tips around SEO, to just about everything in between. I hope you find it fascinating and enjoy. Hi, and welcome to Successful Scales, the show where I interview now successful professionals about their journey and try and garner insights onto any tips that can be applied to your business at home. Whether it's financial freedom or the exit of your company, wherever your journey may take you, the idea here is to simply learn from those who have done it before. I hope you enjoy and you get some value out of this. Buckle up and enjoy the episode. Stephen, it's absolutely awesome to be chatting with you again so soon. Thank you for jumping on the Successful Scales podcast.
Well, I hope to add some value today. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, mate. I mean, just you taking the time and with the wealth of knowledge that you have, I feel like, at least for me, I'm already gaining value. So yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you here today.
The pleasure is mine.
So, the way that I like to start this one off is obviously just to build some credibility and to know that, you are a serious guy, which I know, but for those listening at home might not know, just to hear a little bit about your experience and kind of even laddering up into my Amazon guy and how you've gotten to where you sit today.
So I have a decade of e-com experience on the corporate side before I started my agency. I was actually a television reporter, and then I worked in a bunch of different corporate jobs, everything from women's plus size clothing to kitchen equipment and even gold and silver coins. So I had some SEO chops on the website before and acquisitions chops before I joined and made my agency, my Amazon guy. I actually increased Amex.com by 10 million uniques year over year. Biggest precious metal dealer online. So anybody who wants to know if I know what I'm talking about, you can go to SEMrush or any SEO tool right now, put in Amex, American Precious Metal Exchange. You can see my hire date. It's that obvious. And I only stayed there a year to the date. I have learned a couple of things over the years. Growth hacking is very much in the veins. So everything that we do at my Amazon guy is about growing sales on Amazon. So there's generally like two ways we do that, right? Grow traffic, everything from advertising and SEO, and build conversion rates. So managing your products, data, the catalog, merchandising, and design like A+ content. So we do all that at MAG. I did college debates, beat Harvard's B team, fun little anecdote. And I wish I had learned something in college though. And that was how to persuade people, right? Like I could win an argument. Anybody want to fight? Sure. Hit me up. But I don't think I can persuade my mom to do anything. So can't even persuade my 5-year-old kid to take the trash out. But yeah, that's kind of my background. I'm a little all over the place, which is kind of how my brain works. So,
well, mate, I think, when it talks to just about everything you're doing from a professional standpoint, it helps to have that approach. When you talk about growth hacking, I mean, it's traveling down effectively the road less traveled. So having a brain that goes all over the place, I think, is probably going to be to your benefit.
One would think so, right? Like it's one of the things I like to criticize on a frequent basis is this concept of Amazon as passive income, right? Like it's not, right? Like I might be one of 5 guys online saying that right now. Like nobody's talking about how much hard work it is to run a business, right? Like it's massive amounts of work. You go on YouTube and you see some ninja guy talking about like, hey man, I drive a Porsche and I grow my Amazon business when my kids nap. And it's like, yeah, there is so much more behind the scenes than people talk about. So one of the things I always try and do is I keep it real. I talk about like the real grit that it takes to make stuff happen. And like, we share all of our trade secrets. We hold no punches. We just tell it how it is.
Mate, that is so refreshing to be talking to someone who has such a similar opinion to mine in that, you I don't know how much you've been playing in the Clubhouse space, but one of the things that has really been
If they would like allow an Android phone in there, I would be all over it.
yeah. I forgot we
All you
started having.
Apple people.
I know. Well, the development team, that they're the people you should be speaking to. Where I'm an Apple fanboy, and I'm going to be sticking to that to probably the day I die. But yeah, it's you see a lot. So when you do get to Clubhouse, when they do open it up to everyone outside of the Appleverse, one of the things you see a whole lot of right now is, my 7, 8, 10 billion figure business and how easy it is, and so
my net profits might be negative, but I'm not going to tell you that part.
yeah. My business is seriously hurting. I shouldn't have bought that third Ferrari. I know it was going to look great on Instagram, but
buying Amazon businesses like they're Bitcoin from the 90s. Like, let me just go buy 10 Amazon businesses. Maybe it'll work out. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy an agency while I'm at it. Now it's your problem, Mr. Agency. We've seen that.
I mean, that's going to continue to happen more and more for sure. But like you really are the perfect guest, because you're getting really to the nitty gritty of points that I didn't even think we'd cover. But I think that you draw on something really important here, and that's that running Amazon businesses and everyone just saying, just get started and, just put $50,000 into it and you've got nothing to lose. And it's so easy. I feel like it is such a wash of people just saying, get into it without the proper planning. And, running a business, especially one as complex as an Amazon business. Okay, right. Amazon handles all the logistics and you get it to you get it to Amazon and they'll do the fulfillment and that's all great. But we're talking about everything from product selection to product sourcing to QA of those products, making sure that you're actually handling like the inventory and logistics. Like there are so many factors that exist before you can even take it to Amazon. And yeah, to echo your point.
That sounds like passive income to me. I don't know what you're talking
about. Well, with the agency, maybe. No, yeah, I'm
yeah. Hire me, and then I'll just do all this for you. Now, granted, guys, like I'm indicting this concept of Amazon being passive income because it's not, right? But like, it's never been a better time to sell on Amazon. I want to make that abundantly clear too. But I like to be real about it, right? Like this isn't like some pyramid get rich quick scheme. It's a real business, and when you run a real business, you have real problems, right? Like you got to hire people, you got to move products logistically, you got to merchandise that product. Oh, and nowadays you got to get video content shot, let alone getting a product photo on white, which was hard just by itself, right? Like and then get sophisticated, right? So running your SEO and your PPC, and then to add matters worse, Amazon is shivving people right now. Like they're like absolutely pulling out that knife and hitting you in the gut, and they're just randomly taking down listings, randomly suppressing your ASINs, so you have hidden suppressions. Or they'll have like a policy update, like February 1st, new SFP program goes into place, and all of a sudden you have to ship on Saturdays. Oh, surprise! Good luck. Keep up with us if you can. Yeah. So.
I mean, I just hear passive income. That's all I'm hearing. Yeah. Sign me up. Sign me up. Well, mate, I mean, you touched on a ton of points there around a lot of the challenges that exist inside of an Amazon business. To continue, we've got two guys here who are not very good at following straight lines.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. But I think you opened up.
You want some structure? All right, let's get some structure.
Well, here's my structure for you. Which is not exactly the intention I had, but let's roll with it because I think that you've got some interesting points here. When we talk about the fact that Amazon isn't exactly a passive income, and you're running an agency, you're dealing with literally, hundreds of Amazon sellers and businesses over the career of the agency. I don't know if I've embellished.
Not even embellished. We have 160 active on monthly retainer with us right now. 40 employees, 160 active clients. And strong acquisition. Like we're 3 times the size we were January over January. And quite frankly, I think I'm going to triple again this year. That's how much demand there is right now.
Love it. Love it. So, okay. So, I mean, that's a perfect segue into, I'm probably going to have people listening in here that are looking to step into Amazon for the first time, and they've heard a lot of this passive income business and how easy it is, and you just have to get on Amazon, just get there. What would be some of the tips that you'd kind of suggest to someone starting out and thinking, you know what, maybe this is for me. I've got a little bit of capital saved up. I have a passion around a specific niche or a product or something, that's really kind of they're fixated on. What would be some good advice you could give to them?
Well, first of all, I'd say plan and make sure you are consulting experts if it's the first time you've got it. Now that's the me copying out answer, right? But in realistic, it is impossible to navigate Amazon without a pro by your side right now. Just do not go it alone unless you have money to burn. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I'd give on that segment. Now, with that said, here's the things you can do to be more successful, right? So you got like two camps of decision making. So camp one, avoid mistakes, and camp two, grow your account, right? So common mistakes that people made are typically in the first 60 days, it's all logistics based. And then typically after, month 3+, it's usually marketing based. So what happens is people, they talk to somebody on Alibaba and they get a shipment made, and then they run into a problem such as Amazon limiting the amount of stock you can send into your SKU, right? Which is capped at 200 on a new item. To be honest, I thought they would have removed that cap by now. Who knows how long it will be in place? Maybe any day it will be removed, but things like that can really structurally mess you up logistically. Another common logistics mistake that people would make, like they won't package the good for individual shipping. So as one example, I'm going to reach behind me here to grab a hot sauce, right? So like this is a hot sauce that I used to sell. I bought 1,000 of these out of a manufacturer. Now, here's the mistakes I made on this particular product, right? And I'm going to put it up to the screen for those that are not even sure visually if you can tell. But anyway, so really cool product. I spent $1,500 designing the label, right? So like I was all in on this sucker. And it's a 4-pound bottle, giantly heavy bottle. It's got a lot of goods in it. Now, the flavor and the taste and all of the great things you'd expect from a good, high quality product were present. Didn't have any problems with that. Got great reviews. Here's what got me killed. And I canned my entire project because of this. I was shipping these in and I was paying Amazon to do my prep work. So I paid them 80 cents to bubble wrap this, paid them 30 cents to put the sticker on, and I paid them to bubble wrap the glass bottle. And you know what they did? They freaking shipped out my 4-pound glass bottles in padded envelopes. And as you can imagine, and as you can guess, what would happen to a 4-pound glass bottle full of barbecue sauce? It was a giant mess from Arizona all the way up to New York on logistics, right? Like people were getting mine broken almost guaranteed. It was like I knew I was waking up, like the first order that came in, I got a break. Oh, okay, first order, and I don't know what's wrong. And then within 72 hours, it was like 20 more of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so I call up Amazon. I was like, why are you guys shipping these in padded envelopes? Well, and they're like, well, based on our research, we can deliver things safely this way. And I'm like, no, frick, ship this in boxes, guys. Like what, WTF, like what, and they said, oh, well, we'll take that under advisement. And so I collect like 20 damaged goods, and I collect pictures and all this stuff. And I say, dude, ship it in frickin' boxes. And they say, okay, we'll ship it in boxes. And so a week goes by, still getting the damage. They didn't friggin' ship it in boxes. They had no plans to ship it in boxes, and they never will. So if you want a classic logistics mistake, that scenario I just gave you, you need to prep your item for a 4-foot test, individual unit, prior to going to Amazon. And so if I was going to resell this item, first of all, I wouldn't do glass, I'd go plastic. Right. And then second of all, I would box it with styrofoam or something to protect it. So individual unit, 1 box a piece, can be shipped directly to the consumer and pass a kick test. Because we all know those FedEx and UPS guys just love to drop kick our crap on the porch. Right. Let alone the porch pirates that come in and like, hey, I see a free box. Here I come. But let me drop kick my box on your porch and have at it. So that's just like one logistics scenario. Right. Like, so I don't know. You want to go marketing next, or you want me to do more logistics?
No, that was sound advice. I'm just sitting here honestly shocked that, obviously Amazon is enormous, right? One of the biggest businesses on the planet. But the whole model, like even when you talk about launching products and the fact that the first 90 days is so critical, and building sales velocity and positive reviews, and having in-stock inventory are key factors in why Amazon will sell. If they've got more inventory for them to sell, then logic will tell you that they can make more money on the referral fee of 15%. So they're going to sell more. It sounds like so counterintuitive to everything they stand for with customer first and also supporting the sellers, that I'm honestly just, I cannot believe that they would question it, unless you're just going down the whole pass the problem on to someone else situation, as you often find when you have suppressed inventory or suspended listings and things like that. Crazy to me.
I mean, the thing that really surprised corporations in working with us is they're like, how is Amazon functional? Like, that's generally the question I get in the first 90 days when a corporation engages with us. Now, for the side hustlers out there and the private labelers out there who are doing this out of their garage and their basement and their closet, and mind you, I got a closet over there with, like, I don't know, 50 different sourced items I haven't actually generated yet, because we all have to talk about product research, right? Like the amount of research and buying your competitors' goods and buying Alibaba and direct Chinese manufactured goods to try and figure out like what's high quality. Good luck on that front too. I'll put my prophet hat on for just a moment. Here's me prophesying. I think that if you want to succeed on Amazon 3 years down the line, you need to make your stuff in America. Nobody is doing that right now, and that's why you should do it. And that's despite the cost problems, right? Like, we're going to have a trade war with China. It's going to be a mess. Do it now. If you could solve B2C product goods, home goods in America, you will be dominating the vertical control for years to come. So like, my personal aspiration, I've been trying to crack this thing for a while. So if you're listening to this and you know how to open a manufacturing plant, I want to hear from you, by the way. I would love to open a manufacturing plant. I would love to take my raw resource, manufacture it into a solid good, say it's glass, whatever it might be. I happen to be the #1 funny wine glass seller on Amazon. And if you type in wine glass onto Amazon.com right now, I'll be in the top 2 or 3 results for the term wine glass, with my social distancing a wine glass. Anyway,
nice.
So, and so like, I would love to take sand and turn it into a glass and then manufacture it and screen print it myself, right? But like, these sort of things have been outsourced for decades, and that's where the future will need to go. I don't know what I started that conversation with, because then I started going down my make stuff in USA rant. So help me out here on this one.
I mean, you are giving absolute so many words of wisdom. So, I am happy for you to rant away, but to get us back on track and to play that game, the objective of the podcast is really successful scales. You've gotten to a point where, and I didn't actually point it out before, but that's incredible. Tripling growth year on year, 160 active clients, 40 team members. I mean, that's no joke where you sit today in terms of the landscape. So, hats off to you, my friend. That's very, very impressive. But where I want to get to, and where I know you can add a lot of value, is that when people are starting out and they're trying to drive traffic to their website, and they're trying to actually build that level of awareness and swell, we talked a little bit about it before. SEO tends to play a big component in traffic, and there are so many, I would say, myths around the space, and it can be pretty terrifying for a lot of people. When we talk about on-site versus off-site, and link building, and black hat techniques and white hat techniques. I mean, for someone starting out looking to actually drive traffic to their website, can you kind of maybe give a little bit of insight onto your, onto how you can go about building real value around SEO traffic, and maybe how that can really help successfully scale a business?
Absolutely. So the nice thing about SEO traffic is that it's, generally speaking, earned media or free. So if you win on SEO today, you're going to win on SEO for months to come. So when I went into Atmix.com, and I was their acquisition manager, and I ran a team of SEO experts, basically I was operating under 2 theses. Thesis 1 was, there's a book of keywords that they weren't paying attention to that they needed to pay attention to. And it was price terms. So the price of gold, price of silver. So a lot of people are looking up that content in the millions on a monthly basis. And that's because stock traders look at it. That's because people at home who are silver stackers look at that price term. The list goes on, right? So a lot of people are looking at this keyword structure. So you need to understand like what keywords to go after. Okay, so that's the planning and the execution of it, though, falls under step 2, which is you got to go build content. So the technical aspect of your website is a very distant second these days to actually just building high producing good content. And that makes your job easier from the sense that you don't need to go hire an SEO technical wizard to run your site. That's, it's helpful. Definitely consider that if you're at scale, but you don't need to start there. Right now, if you want the 5-minute hack today, here's your 5-minute hack for your website. Set the meta tag description and the HTML title tag of your homepage in a way that will generate you traffic. So for example, if I'm going to talk about my own website SEO for my Amazon guy, I know that a lot of people are looking for Seller Central consultants, Seller Central agencies, and quite frankly, they're logging into Seller Central, anything related to Seller Central. So I would want my title tag and my HTML meta description to discuss those elements, those keywords. One of the biggest mistakes people make with their homepage SEO is that they'll put the brand name as the title tag and leave it like that. And that's all they do. Just simply my Amazon guy. And then the meta description, they won't even set it manually. They'll let the robot set it. So it defaults to whatever marketing copy is at the top of the homepage. That's a mistake. You need to customize these and manually set them for every important page, your home page, your category pages, possibly some of your core product pages as well. And then look at the keywords that you're trying to book and try and get them onto page 1 for. Get a tool. There are many tools out there, some free, some not as free. Ahrefs, SEMrush, Moz, Conductor Search. There's so many tools out there, and you can track your keyword rankings. If at the very least all you did was sign up for a free trial with one of these things for 7 days and download whatever keywords you're currently ranking for just to see it. Maybe you're only indexing for 3 keywords. That's a problem. Maybe you're indexing for 1,000, but none of them are on page 1. Well, maybe if you build out content around those keywords in the striking distance, you'll end up on page 1. And so the second thing that I did at AppMix is I built 1,000 pages of content. 1,000 pages. Most of it, actually it was 2,000, was 1,000 on price terms specifically, and then like 1,000 of educational content. We were trying to make AppMix the Wikipedia of precious metals. And by the way, that concept, not an easy thing for the organization to adopt, right? Like, the leadership is like, what you want me to spend how much money on 2,000 pages of content, right? Like that's what they start asking those questions.
What did the team?
I'm like, yeah.
What did the team look like? Like how many copywriters and what was you said you were there for a year. How many copywriters did you have? How did you even approach? That's a monster task right there.
So because I used to be a TV reporter and because I've run content teams before, it was right up my alleyway. And so I had 3 internal full-time hires helping me out on this. I also hired a team of 6 expert SEO copywriters. And in addition to that, I hired an agency to deal with like the mass scale, repetitive stuff, right? Price terms.
Yep.
And so that combination, we rolled that all out in less than a year. And so I would go around the organization, it was the organization's gigantic, right? Like it's $1 billion company, but from a margin standpoint in gold and silver, you're operating at razor thin margins, anywhere from 2 to 5%. So treat it like more like a $50 million company, if you will. That's more realistic. But basically, I would go around the organization. I'd say, hey, what's something that you think consumers of a silver stacker would want to know about? I'd write down every literal idea they had. I went around the whole organization, top to bottom, and I said, give me your ideas. I'd hold brainstorming sessions. I have Google Sheets with hundreds and hundreds of content piece ideas, and I leveraged everything. And then the next thing I did is I went out and looked at what people were actually talking about on Reddit and on the social media and the forums, and I wrote that on the list. And then I started assigning these things to various writers who I felt like would be the best to write about those specific topics. Maybe I'm writing about a super technical piece of content that's about numismatics, if I can say that 10 times fast. And that's like old coin collection. Then I'm going to go talk to the expert who can actually talk about said thing, right? And so the same thing would apply for anybody listening to this. You need to do this at scale. And for you to come up with one piece of content, that's cute, but you need hundreds of ideas and put them all into a Google Sheet and start assigning them out and get them made. And maybe you're the main content producer. Maybe you can't scale to a team of how many writers I was engaging with at the time. And that's okay. Start with something daily, whatever it might be. Get started. Don't be overwhelmed by the system. Forget about, also, one other big piece I give you. Do not worry about organizing your content. Just produce it. If you focus on organization, you will miss the most core competency, which is the action dictates the strategy. That's a Gary Vee quote. And that's because once you build the content, then you'll know how to organize it. If you try and organize it and then build the content, you're going to be forcing your content into your organizational structure instead of building an organizational structure that supports your content.
Mate, you've just blown my mind. As someone who did a lot of digital strategy work, particularly around the content space, that's a very interesting position. And it actually is a conversation I was having just last week, where the best copywriters that exist in market today in a business are effectively reporters. They go around the business and they will ask all of the key questions to get to the root of it. And I would even say to kind of add even more value to what you've just indicated around how you can approach building the team out, is that ask your clients too, or ask the people buying your products around the things that they like about the product or the things that they like about your services, because that's where the gold content is going to be, because it's going to be reflectant as to what people are actually saying or believing about you.
I got two anecdotes for you on this one. Trademarks is the first, and the second is I get lots of questions. So trademarks, I'm not a trademark attorney. I'm a hustler. I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur, like most of your listeners. And so I saw a demand. Everybody needs a trademark to sell on Amazon to get brand registry, right? So I went out and learned how to file a trademark, and I filed my first trademark for Momster, which was my hot sauce and foaming wine glass business. And I figured out what a specimen was, and I learned all these things. Well, over the course of building out that offering, and by the way, if you don't have a trademark and you want to sell on Amazon, you should hire me. $775. We will get you a serial number within one business day, and you can go get your brand registry on Amazon in under 7 days total.
Wow.
It used to be 6 months long. It used to be 6 months you had to wait for your trademark. And then Amazon came out with what's called the IP accelerator, which would charge you like $1,500. And now in the last 30, 40 days, they now allow pending trademarks to register for brand registry. And so we have filed over 200 trademarks at my Amazon guy. Like that's a weird business extension, right? But this is the classic scaling scenario when you build content. Like people ask me questions like on trademarks all day long. So this goes into my second anecdote. I started building content on whatever my clients were talking about. Hey, how do you do this on Amazon? Well, okay, you're a beginner. Let me go shoot a 35-minute tutorial on how to access Seller Central. How do I build out A+ content? Well, let me record video of my actual designer literally designing the A+ content, and I'll go publish that, and you can go check it out. One of my first videos that has, I think it was like 100,000 hits, maybe more, was on how to build a brand store on Amazon. And I shot that like 72 hours into making my agency. And it's still one of my most popular videos because literally I was the first guy on the internet to talk about how to build a brand store on Amazon without designer help. And so like when you build content on what people are talking about, just like you were talking, indicating, it will help you build business 100%.
Right. I'm just sitting here like overwhelmed. Firstly, maybe I'm not worthy and you should be the guy hosting the Successful Scales.
No way, man.
Mate, just a fountain of knowledge. Like, I know I'm sitting here thinking, shit, I got to do a little audio bite at the end of this to kind of explain the topics that we covered in here. There's just so much gold coming from that mouth of yours, my friend, that, anyone listening,
I need to get one of your golden mics, it seems.
Yeah. We're going to need to, I'm going to need to mail you. I'm going to need to send one by Amazon, my friend. It's, mate, that's awesome. I think that, just to kind of go back on the brand registry, I think that's also like a very daunting thing for a lot of people is like, how do I get started? How do I actually get there? If I can't get, it would probably be a big inhibitor for most businesses. So offering a service, like you said, how did you end up there? I mean, you're about adding value. The whole premise of at least how I view things, and I feel like we're pretty aligned, is how do we add value to our customers, to our clients, to our purchases? How do we add value? And I think that that just becomes a very organic solution for you to offer, because that would have been a huge inhibitor for people getting onto Amazon in the first place.
So brand registry has gotten a lot better in some ways. It's easy to go fill out the application, take you about 10 minutes. The problem is that the brand registry catalog is buggier than, I don't know, my kid's nose with boogers in it. Like, it's a mess, right? And sometimes you need to retrieve said boogers and get them out, and then other times you have to eat them and consume them. Otherwise, you can't operate in the brand registry world. That was a really weird metaphor I just made up.
You know what? You know, whatever floats your boat.
People are licking their lips. Yeah, that was a tasty one. But no, seriously, like, you file your brand registry and then your brand node's not created. And then your brand node's not connected to your Seller Central account, and you can't actually access your brand. And then you got to go read about, how that gets fixed. Well, Amazon is super dysfunctional, as we have kind of hit home on our early part of our call today. And that's why the sophistication level of operating your Amazon business is at an all-time high and increasing. We see a bunch of sophisticated money entering the market. Everybody in the dogs is buying Amazon businesses. EBITDA is going to go up 40% this year, probably another 40% next year. And that's because it's legitimate, right? Like, this isn't just like some Bitcoin rush where, people are just, I don't know, using Excel sheets to arbitrage their financials. Like, this is legitimate business growth. Like, there is a massive opportunity on Amazon. And as a result, the sophistication level, and we're entering the maturity phase of Amazon, means you're gonna have to go to bat a lot harder. So you're gonna have to listen to tons of podcasts. You're gonna have to hire the experts and talk to them. You're gonna have to delve in and really get dirty to operate your business. And if you don't, your listings are gonna be offline. You're gonna fail on multiple fronts. So it's really important that you pay close attention to those kinds of things.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I've just done a few of these, and that topic keeps coming up. It's that so much new money is coming into the space. And, as soon as investment banking institutions and brokerages and M&A firms start to hone in, that says that, a lot of these businesses, they're sitting on something real. And yeah, I mean, we've never spoken about this topic before, but I am not the number one advocate for Bitcoin. Far from it. And I feel like we could have a whole conversation on that myself, on mass consumer psychology and how people are betting their house on things that they're not learning tangible skills around. And so therefore, what's the point, right? Again, you might get rich, but at what cost? At what true cost?
Might be a black swan event that comes in and wipes out your entire savings. Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, well, anything could happen, and the reality is you're not building real world skills. You're learning how to, trade. Anyway, I don't want to open up this can of worms, because
sounds good.
Yeah, I can get pretty passionate. I know people do love Bitcoin and blockchain and Bitcoin. Just to be clear, I look at them very differently. I think that there's definitely a lot of value in kind of blockchain technology, but when we look at Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency and what that looks like, it feels a little bit one-dimensional. But I'm not an expert, and I really hope to God that I never become one.
You hope you never become an expert on that. Yeah. That's my favorite soundbite of this episode. That's great.
Yeah. So do you know what? So I feel like you and I can shoot the shit for hours and hours. But I want to be mindful of your time, and I want to, I want people to keep tuning in again, right? We can't give them all of the knowledge in one hit at one time. It's going to be information overload. So what I will ask you, my friend, is, we've talked about a whole series of topics, from SEO to catalog management to brand registry to a whole lot of stuff that I've forgotten at the start of the session here.
So much information. We've already forgotten what we drank from the fire hose.
Seriously, wait, we were talking about also about bringing products to market and the challenges that you have. I mean, it's just nugget of insight after nugget of insight. But over all these lessons that you've had in your professional career to date, what would be the one thing that you feel like you've learned that if you'd known it starting out, or, a few years earlier before you made a few mistakes, what would be that one piece of information that you'd love to share that said, shit, if someone told me this, I might not have made so many mistakes?
I am in the business of running an agency, but in reality, I'm in the business of HR. Hiring people and developing people is not something I ever trained for. I went to school to be a TV reporter and ask tough questions. A lot of good that's doing me when I've got, kids working for me at my Amazon guy, right? Like kids, problems, spousal issues, financial issues, health issues. Like if you're going to run a company, you have to invest in people and relationships. And the autism in me, that doesn't necessarily go too well, right? Like I am not the expert on this question. So I've had to develop a lot of talent in managing people. And so what I would say to people listening to this is be ready to evolve constantly. If you are a rabbit and you are the fastest runner in the world as a rabbit, and you got to go learn how to swim, I wouldn't spend a lot of time in the swimming pool if you were a rabbit, right? Like you're probably wasting your time and you're going to probably be frustrated. You might even drown, quite frankly. With that said, on occasion, you might have to learn how to be a rabbit and skip over the pool, right? Like a rock. And you got to be agile and you got to be ready to move with some of those needles. So what I would say is you really have to be able to consistently meet the vision that you're trying to achieve and work it backwards frequently. And I've already said this once on the podcast. It's worth repeating a second time. The action dictates the strategy. If you are going to build something, your building of said something will allow you to realize the strategy. If you adopt that, you are going to be successful, in my opinion.
Mate, you are just spitting truth after truth after truth here.
And I mean, it's authentic. Like this is my experience. This is my story, right? Like take it for what it is.
For sure. But I think like what I draw upon or what I draw from that is that we're not going to be the experts at everything, and you're absolutely kidding yourself if you think you can be. So understand where your strengths really lie and lean into them or find a way around them, whether you bring in a person to handle that aspect of the operation, but understand what you are actually signing up for when you go into running a business, especially a business that's of real significant scale. Having 40 people, that's 40 different personalities that have 40 different life objectives that have 40 different issues, and any one day anything can explode. So I guess if I'm listening and if I'm understanding correctly, it's, understand the ride that you're strapping yourself in for and make sure that you, what's the saying? It's fail often, fail fast, fail
Very
fast.
much.
And find ways to move beyond that and find the gaps. Like, to echo your points, I am not the guy who's going to be the account manager in a business. I did that for a lot of my career. I'm not the person once the system is built to kind of come back and manage it and operate it. I'm like you, my brain goes a million miles an hour and I'm from here, I'm from there. I'm going all over the place. So I've found people who I could not build this business without. And if it wasn't for my team that are running the operation day to day, I'd be absolutely useless. So yeah, I mean, it resonates and it hits home with me with your points and what you're putting out there.
Well, it was my pleasure to come on and add some 2 cents here and there. But yeah, go out and do it, guys. Just, whatever it takes to pump you up, get that cheerleading in your veins right now and go take action today. So go set your homepage meta tag. That's your 5-minute task today, guys.
Love it. So, okay. Well, before I thank you for coming on and investing the time and giving just so many words of wisdom in so many different areas, thanks for making my life hard for this audio bite that I'm going to have to carve out. I'm going to have to rewatch the whole thing. But there's lots of stuff that I'm going to relearn. So that's great. How, for people listening at home who want to get a direct line to you or to work with my Amazon guy, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Honestly, the best way is to go to myamazonguy.com and hit the contact us button and tell us, that way you can give us a link to your Amazon listing and tell us what you're looking for. If you want full service, cool. If you've got a specific problem, you just need somebody to help, we can give a coaching call or whatever it might be to help you out. My email for podcasting sake is podcast@myamazonguy.com. I do read every single comment that comes in. And at the very least, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow our own podcast. It's youtube.com/myamazonguy. You might learn something on how to run your Amazon business and grow your sales.
I can tell you, after being on it and watching a bunch of episodes, I learned a lot. So yeah, I to echo that, sign up. It's worth your while. There's, I think, about 5,000 people who are subscribed, which is no small feat given the space and the niche that you're playing in. So well done to that too. Well, on that note, I feel like we can talk forever, but just want to say thank you so much for coming on and taking the time. It's been immensely valuable, and mate, I'm just looking forward to our next conversation, whether it's on a podcast or just in general. It's just great knowing you.
The pleasure is all mine, and for your own listeners' sake, we've been having conversations about all kinds of opportunities. So we're gelling. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks so much.